Okay, so I'm going to explain to all you party people this tranny lamb we had. It was very intriguing. Most sheep are they're sort of set up closer to cows, if you know what I mean. Kind of like a dog, but not quite. So you'll have the animal, guts there, back legs, front legs, and with a dog it'll have its balls here and sort of, or its balls right at the back, and then its dick just hangs there. Well, with cows and sheep it'll be right sort of like there. And then it all hides inside as a great big long thing that sort of sits in here, and only when they're in action does it actually come out the front. Head, tail, back. So this tranny sheep, it was like my sheep in the way that it's sort of like that, but it sort of wasn't. So what it had, instead of having a camera that wouldn't focus, what it had was, it sort of had there, which is just a little lump that sits down, a little bit of hair. It sort of had like the start of that same sort of, penis outlet. But looking directly underneath with it on its back, it had the start of it like that. Now, normally it would be right around, but it had a little bit of hair there. And then instead of just being right around and having a hole, it sort of went from like a penis outlet then to lips of a vulva, pussy lips, whatever you want to call it. Then it sort of closed off, and you had what looked to be a clitoris there, and the pee hole was there, not there, it was down here. Now, I got the gloves on after this thing was dead, and there was nothing in there. There was no vagina, there was nothing. It was just lips sitting there, that's it. Now, usually when they piss straight downwards to the ground. This one, I don't know what was going on with it having the piss hole here. It looked to be pissing this way. Because it had over here, most sheep have balls just sort of before their legs, almost between their legs, but almost like in front of their legs they'll have balls. And the balls were completely stained in piss. And all of the inside of the legs, left and right leg on the inner side, were also stained in piss. So instead of this thing pissing down, somehow it was pissing backwards over its balls and down amongst its legs. Because the piss hole was here, not here. Now, about those balls. There were no balls. It was a sack. There were no balls in it. Start of a penis opening, clitoris, piss hole, lips, no vagina. This thing had no chance of being either a mother or a father. Neither. It did have a very high chance of getting fly struck because it stunk of piss because of all the piss stains, but for some reason it was, instead of going down, it just went straight backwards, and then it was covered in piss stains and it stunk of piss. This is what attracts flies, and this is how they get fly blown. And don't think, like my biology teacher told me, that flies only infect dead stuff. No, they infect live stuff that if it stinks bad enough, that's the entire premise of fly blown things. You might have a lot of trouble finding anything about fly blown stuff. It is very rarely publicly talked about, and you might have a big issue of even finding it on the internet. It's where flies lay maggots and stuff that just stinks bad enough, and it's as simple as that. And then these maggots get going and they attack live animals. This is a problem with sheep, particularly the main variety of sheep in Australia known as merino. It wasn't a big problem until the late 70s when a particular African fly come here, and then it really became a problem. But anyway, that's an explanation of the tranny sheep. The 1 in 3 to 5,000 chance of ever seeing this thing when we only have about 30 to 40 lambs born a year. I might see one of these as an old man in my 70s, but it was very rare to see this, so that's why I'm sort of explaining it, because they're just extremely rare. What I will say is that some of them tend to be that my father saw when I was a kid, and he explained to me several years back now, probably more than 10 years ago. A lot of them tend to be very sick animals. A lot of them have a very high chance of contracting tapeworms of various kinds, so they're very quote-unquote wormy. So they often need the ivermectin, basically. And also he said that a lot of them have a very bad smell to them, like a stench to them. And this is because of the hormone problems. This is all based on ones he saw when I was not even a teenager, when I was a kid in Western Australia. And, you know, because they used to have, it was a huge amount. It was like something crazy, like 10 to 15,000 lambs a year or something like that, at least 5,000. It was absolutely thousands on thousands they used to get every year. So then you'd actually get to see one almost every year sort of thing. And they never grew up to be healthy sheep. They always died by the time they're about 3 years old. Rams who are quote-unquote working, which means they're doing their job as fertilising males, they tend to have a real stench. And particularly when you shear them, you can smell it really strong on the wool. You get sort of like a similar stench with these transvestites because of their hormonal problems they have, their hormonal conflicts that are going on with them. There's another type called a stag, which is a male with only one testicle. And my dad's boss found out they're still fertile regardless. But they call them stags. They're a male just born with one testicle. But anyway, that's a little explanation of stuff that you probably didn't know unless you were running thousands upon thousands of sheep. Yeah.